November 29th, 1970. A father and his two young daughters were hiking through Isdalen, a remote valley near Bergen, Norway. The area was quiet, cold, and surrounded by steep hills. Locals sometimes called it Death Valley because of its difficult terrain and history of accidents. During the walk, one of the daughters noticed something unusual among the rocks. At first, it appeared to be a pile of clothing, but when her father moved closer, he realized that they had discovered the body of a woman. She had been badly burned. There was no identification beside her, no passport, no handbag, no documents containing her real name. Near the body, investigators found several personal objects, including jewellery, a watch, bottles, and an umbrella. But nearly every object that could reveal where it had been purchased had been altered. Labels had been removed from her clothing. Identifying marks had been erased. It appeared that someone had deliberately attempted to make the woman impossible to identify. Norwegian police immediately began an investigation. An examination concluded that the woman had consumed a large quantity of sleeping pills. Carbon monoxide was also found in her body. Evidence suggested that she had still been alive when the fire began. Investigators now faced two separate mysteries. How had the woman died? And who was she? Police circulated drawings of her face throughout Norway and other European countries. They contacted hotels, transportation companies, and foreign authorities, but nobody came forward to identify her. Then investigators discovered something that changed the entire case. Two suitcases had been left at the luggage storage facility inside Bergen railway station. Police believed they belonged to the unknown woman. Inside the suitcases were clothes, cosmetics, several wigs, foreign currencies, maps, railway timetables, and a notebook containing a series of letters and numbers. Once again, labels had been removed from many of the items. The woman had not simply arrived in Bergen without identification. She had travelled through Europe while systematically hiding who she really was, and the coded notebook would reveal that her journey had been far more complicated than anyone first imagined. Investigators eventually decoded the notebook. The letters and numbers represented dates and locations. They allowed police to reconstruct part of the woman's journey through Norway and other parts of Europe. She had visited cities including Oslo, Bergen, Trondheim, and Stavanger. She had also travelled through places outside Norway. At different hotels, she registered under different names. Sometimes she claimed to be Belgian, sometimes she gave a different date of birth. Her occupation also changed. On one hotel form, she might describe herself as a businesswoman. On another, she might use a completely different identity. Police discovered that she had used at least 8 aliases. None of them led to a real person. Hotel employees remembered an elegant woman with dark hair and brown eyes. Some witnesses said she spoke German. Others remembered hearing French, Flemish, or broken English. She often kept to herself. She paid in cash. She sometimes wore wigs and changed her appearance. One hotel employee remembered that she appeared cautious, as though she was constantly watching the people around her. The last confirmed hotel connected to her was the Hotel Horderheimen in Bergen. She checked out on November 23rd, 6 days before her body was discovered. After leaving the hotel, her movements became uncertain. No confirmed record explains how she reached the isolated valley. The multiple names and coded travel records immediately created speculation. This was 1970. The Cold War divided Europe. Norway was a member of NATO and shared a border with the Soviet Union. Military technology was being developed and tested across the country. Some researchers later noticed that parts of the woman's travel route appeared to correspond with military activity, including testing connected to Norway's Penguin missile program. This led to the most famous theory in the case. The unknown woman may have been a spy. Her false identities, frequent travel, coded notes, cash payments, and changing appearance seemed consistent with someone involved in intelligence work. But there was a major problem. No government ever admitted knowing her. No intelligence agency publicly identified her, and investigators found no document proving that she had been working for any country. The spy theory was possible, but it remained only a theory. Norwegian police initially treated the woman's death as a probable suicide. The sleeping pills found in her body supported that conclusion. She may have deliberately travelled to an isolated place, removed all evidence of her identity, and ended her own life. But that explanation created more questions. Why had she spent months travelling under false names? Why did she carry wigs? Why were the labels removed from her clothing? And why had she left coded records of her movements? Some investigators wondered whether she had wanted to disappear completely, ensuring that even after death, nobody could trace her past. Others believed that another person had helped conceal her identity. The possibility of murder could not be dismissed. The woman may have been forced to consume the pills. Someone may have placed her in the valley and attempted to destroy evidence with fire. Witnesses later described possible meetings between the woman and unidentified men. One person claimed to have seen a woman resembling her walking in the hills several days before the discovery. According to this account, 2 men were following behind her. The witness believed she appeared frightened or resigned. However, this report was not properly documented during the original investigation, making it impossible to verify. Another possibility was that she was involved in criminal activity unrelated to espionage. She could have been a courier, a smuggler, or someone transporting money or information across national borders. Her secretive travel might have protected her from criminals rather than governments. There was also a less dramatic explanation. The false identities may have been connected to a private life she wanted to hide. She may have been escaping a relationship, a family, or an event from her past. But even this theory fails to explain why nobody reported her missing. Her photographs and facial sketches were distributed internationally. Her dental work was unusual and expensive. She spoke several languages. She had enough money to travel repeatedly across Europe. She was not someone who had lived completely outside society. She had visited hotels, shops, railway stations, and restaurants. Many people had spoken to her. Yet no relative, friend, employer, or neighbour ever provided a confirmed identification. It was as though the woman had existed under false names for so long that her real identity had disappeared before she entered the valley.
For decades, the case remained largely unchanged. The unknown woman was buried in Bergen in an unmarked grave. Police used a zinc coffin so that her remains could be preserved in case future investigators needed to examine them again. More than 40 years later, journalists from Norway's public broadcaster, NRK, began re-examining the evidence. Modern scientists studied samples connected to the woman. Analysis of her teeth provided clues about where she may have grown up. The results suggested that she probably came from Central or Western Europe, possibly near Germany or the border region between Germany and France. Her dental development also indicated that she may have experienced part of her childhood during or shortly after the Second World War. These discoveries narrowed the search, but they did not reveal her name. The investigation later became the subject of the BBC and NRK series, Death in Ice Valley. Listeners around the world examined photographs, documents, travel records, and witness statements. People submitted possible identities. Some believed she could have been a missing European woman. Others searched for connections to intelligence agencies and Cold War operations. Several leads appeared promising. None produced definitive proof. More than half a century after the body was discovered, the central questions remain unanswered. Who was the woman traveling through Europe under at least 8 different names? Why did she carefully remove every clue that could reveal her identity? Was she an intelligence agent observing military activity? Was she involved in crime? Was she running from someone? Or was she simply a deeply troubled woman who wanted the world to forget that she had ever existed? Perhaps the answer is still hidden inside an old family photograph. Someone may recognize her face without knowing that she died in Norway. A forgotten document may contain one of her real addresses. Advances in DNA technology may eventually connect her to a living relative. Until that happens, she remains known only by the place where her body was discovered, the Isdal Woman, a traveller with many names, but no confirmed identity, a woman whose journey crossed countries, hotels, and railway stations, before ending alone in a Norwegian valley. And more than 50 years later, nobody can say with certainty who she was, or what happened during the final days of her life.